Well, for the latest, I'm joined now by our political editor, Darren McCaffrey, who's live in Madrid for us. Darren, we heard some mixed views and opinions there in Nick Wells' report. Is Pedro Sanchez, he's keeping his options close to his chest, but, Spain looking at possibly facing a fourth election in 4 years soon, or can we expect something more settled now?
It is possible, Totes. I think given the fact that, after those 3 elections, Spain is still facing a period of political uncertainty as the fragmentation of politics, as we've seen elsewhere in Europe, continues. But, be in no doubt, it's going to be pretty difficult over the next couple of weeks of horse trading to try and get other parties on board to try and form a stable government. And to kind of explore all that, what the election means, the significance of it, I'm glad to say I'm joined by Fiona Govan. She is a journalist based in Madrid with the local Spain. Fiona, hi. Just talk to us first of all about what for you is the main narrative, the main thing to take away from this election.
Well, I think first of all we have to see it as a victory for Pedro Sanchez. He really struggled. He lost 3 elections, and he was kicked out of the Socialist Party to make this big comeback as the leader to seize control from Mariano Rajoy, and that was all tested. And he has succeeded, so that's great for him. Except that he hasn't succeeded enough.
So where does he go to next?
So he's still in a position where he is going to have to rely on some uncomfortable partners. So he is going to have to take note of the Catalan separatists. He can just about get invested as the Prime Minister without their initial vote if it goes to a second vote in Parliament. The system's quite complicated. But he's then going to be relying on them, as he has been for the last 10 months, to pass every single law and pass the budget, which is why we're in this position in the first place and having an early election. But of course, he has his natural partners, the allies, Podemos, who have suffered at the polls. They're a bit weakened. They're not in a very strong position to demand things, but they're still linked. They're still pledging their support. And of course, there's this whole other scenario which he could take, which a lot of people today are talking about, how they should sort of put their egos and posturing aside and come to this kind of grand central alliance between PSOE and Ciudadanos. I don't think that's going to happen, personally. I think that Ciudadanos have been so forthright about their rejection of Sanchez and the need to get rid of him and the socialists that I just can't see that happening.
Just quickly, let's focus also on the People's Party, or the Popular Party, who've had a devastating election.
If we were in any other country, I would have thought that this morning the first thing we would see would be the leader of the Popular Party, Pablo Casado, standing up and resigning. If it was the UK, that's what we would get. In Spain, it doesn't work like that. Mariano Rajoy, I think, lost 3 elections before, while still remaining leader of the party and carrying on. And the PP is very much pledged to remain the big party in opposition. But it is absolutely devastating for them. It's, obviously everyone's been talking a lot about the rise of the far right here, of Vox, and that has been a success for them. They've come from nothing. They've got 23 seats in the Parliament. That's an incredible success. But it's a hollow victory because they're not going to have any power. And I think what we saw was people coming out in huge numbers, 75% turnout, which is amazing. That's a record turnout for Spain. So that shows that a lot of people were really saying, no, we're not going to go, we're not prepared to move to the extreme right.
Great. Fiona, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Fiona Govan there with her take on these elections. As I say, fascinating, significant, and potentially also a sign of the diverse, divided and fragmented politics that we may well see in other elections across the EU, ahead of those European elections across the continent in about a month's time.